What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Royal Podcast. My name is Darian Alexander, and this is my boy, Brett Alonzo. And then we got his dog here, Shoto, who wanted to be part of the podcast. He wanted to make some gains today. So, welcome back to The Ultimate You series. This is part 3, I believe, episode 9. And last episode we talked about raising your temperature. So essentially, putting yourself in a place where you're forced to kind of grow and evaluating your position in life so that you're always going forward. And briefly at the end of the last episode, I mentioned what we were going to be talking about today, and that's pretty much giving yourself credit and how that plays into you becoming the best you, like the importance of it. So, yeah, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, one of the first few things I mentioned is that like self-confidence is such an integral part of being able to achieve something. Like you can tell a confident athlete versus an unconfident athlete and how they perform is just way different.
Is just
way out of whack. And it's really not just like the unconfident athlete is weaker. It's just he's not confident in his own strength. So he actually ends up limiting himself to what he could be doing. And so, that's why we decided to take a whole episode to talk about this, because it's so critical and part of the achievement process. So one of the ways to keep that going,
well, you got to start with making promises to yourself, not so much as other people. Everybody thinks that they'll get the confidence and the motivation from others, but that kind of fades away after a while. It does help you out a little bit to know, hey man, you're doing good, keep on going, bud. But if you're striving on those words, you're going to fall short. And do you really have self-confidence anyways? Probably not.
Yeah.
If you're needing those things, you
Yeah, that's good. That's actually really good, man. That's a good point. Keeping those things, there's nothing like saying I'm going to do something and getting it done. Like the way you feel after doing that is really, really, it's like a light, great feeling. Like you just feel like it's a great feeling of accomplishment. And it doesn't have to be like something drastic or big. You don't have to be like, okay, let me go ahead and squat 405 pounds. Just because I said I was going to squat 405 pounds. It's real simple. Like make sure I brush my teeth before I go to bed and flossing this time, not just brushing it.
Clean your house.
Yeah, these small little things, these promises that you're able to keep to yourself. That's stacking those things up, one on top of another, is what's gonna start changing your aura, your character, start feeding your self-confidence. Because if you start to rely on other people to do these things for you, they just won't fill you up, and they, like Brett said, they just last.
Yeah.
They don't last very long.
It's like what was those, like a dopamine effect almost?
Yeah.
You get that sugar high of yes, and then all of a sudden when that person's gone or they left the room, you're back down here, and you're not helping yourself. You're actually hindering your performance in the long run.
Yep.
It's sort of like a kid that rides a bike, right? Like the father or the mother pushes him or her on the bike, and the kid's going fast, and then all of a sudden stops pedaling as fast because they notice that they don't have that self or that help.
Yep. And sometimes it takes that little push, but if that kid expects to be pushed the entire time, he ain't gonna get nowhere.
Right.
So that's the kind of the first.
That in a nutshell, for real.
Yeah. That kid's just gonna sit there. And so going building off of that one point of keeping your promises, you got to be aware of the fact that you're keeping it, like you're doing it, like you're actually achieving it, right? Yeah. Being aware, like, hey, I just did that. Wow, I really managed to do this. What a great feeling. Being aware of that, because a lot of the time most people they're just aware of the 20% of the things they do, and neglect the 80%, right? So I was given an example that the 20% of things is kind of like, let's say you set a goal today. Let's say you're in the sales business and your job's to make over the phone sales. If your goal for the day was to make 15 sales calls and you only made 12, you're focusing on the fact that you didn't make that 15, but you just made 12, and that's not very that's not very satisfying to you. But what if you made like 3 sales over the course of those 12 phone calls? Well, that's that 80% that people most likely will forget. And I made it real simple for Brett. Like, if your goal is to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you don't lie in bed for 30 minutes, you just get up at 5
immediately.
Yeah, that's something real. That's part of that 80%. You gotta gratify yourself off of those things, because they're small wins. Like you're managing to accomplish stuff. You're accomplishing things without you knowing, and that's the error in it. Because you could be way more confident, you could be way more capable and inspired if you just gave yourself credit.
I think people, like, for me myself, it's almost like a feeling of not being aware of you're doing good or great, because you're in the moment, like the phone calls. A lot of you're not going to be ecstatic that you did 3 sales, because in your mind, like you said, you wanted to hit 15, so you're pissed off or you're angry because that's what you're focusing on. Exactly. So if I think at the end of the day to reflect on, okay, I did this today, I did this today, I did this today, I think that would actually make you feel better than focusing on that aspect.
That's a really good point.
You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Michelle was trying to tear up the sofa. Looking back in your day, and that's actually, we mentioned that in a few episodes ago, journaling and stuff like that. How that's one of the things that successful people do. They journal and they recap their day. They don't let any day go by undocumented, pretty much. Because that actually feeds really good into the next point. Of seeking feedback. So if you're trying to, be better and be more confident in what you do and acknowledging the things you do, well, it's great to know what you did, not just from your perspective, but just somebody that you work with or something like that, getting feedback.
Yeah.
Because those are the things, those are just clues, points, hints to just improving yourself. Rather than sitting there okay, I did all of this today, but how do I know, what can I do to make sure I know for a fact I'm going to get better tomorrow? If you did those 15 phone calls and you did your three sales, yeah, you accomplished, but how are you going to, how do you know you're going to get better? Maybe somebody can be like, hey, I think you could have gotten 5 sales over those 15 calls.
Yeah, if you did this.
If you did this. Exactly. And that will just feed into your confidence, because you're always learning and getting better every day. And you have this constant this constant flow of knowledge coming in. This constant flow of tasks, these things that you can get better at. It gets you excited, like Brett was saying, you get inspired. You just go forth intensely and strongly, because you just have this constant flow of accomplishment coming to you.
Yeah, everybody wants that performance eval, Everybody, sorry about that, I'll show you trying to eat your thing. Yeah, everybody wants that performance eval, especially at work, that's the whole package, they want that. But should that be a daily thing, or just, monthly, yearly? How do we chart it down? How do you go about doing that?
That's definitely a lifestyle kind of, and a work career kind of thing. I feel like the daily would stress you out.
Yeah, if you wrote, okay, I did the dishes, this is how I did them, or let's say you critiqued me at the gym on a clipboard and said, hey, your lift was a little weak here, it would get a little, I think it would be a little messy in the day.
Yeah, that's just real negative right there.
Yeah.
How you go about getting that feedback and who you're getting it from is so important.
Yes.
Because if taking that gym example, I'll just I do now, I'll tell you, hey man, try to be a little bit more strict with the execution of the reps, so you can get more out of it. I'm like, okay, that's real simple. It's not like I'm not like grading you or anything. It's just simple feedback.
Yeah, so
Like, you know, you can figure out the rest. What I'm pretty much just telling you is that you're being a little too sloppy with the rep.
right.
Um,
Yeah, some people they do seek feedback from the wrong company, the wrong people,
Usually it's people that have no place in telling you.
and that starts with the low self-confidence right there, because no confidence equals
Yeah,
downhill.
go to people that give you feedback, constructive criticism, not just criticism.
Yeah.
You know, like the constructive aspect is like bringing value to the criticism part and giving you things to walk away with, not just telling you what you did wrong. So, speaking of that 5 a.m. example,
Yeah.
you know, routines, setting up routines in your day to control your day, and mainly things you can deliver on.
Yeah. And if you forget, like, for example, I used to have a routine. I would get up, shower, brush my teeth, all that jazz, and then at a certain point in the day, I would look around my house and say, "Oh no, this needs to be picked up. This needs to be wiped down. This needs to be cleaned," and I would literally clean my house at a certain time of the day every single day. And that helped me structure because, one, I didn't have to worry about a dirty kitchen or a dirty couch or anything because it was all done. And when I go to cook my food for my gym meals, I would clean my dishes right afterwards. So
Yeah.
it was like right there. I was, in the moment of it.
You had a routine, you had guidance. It's so, and I was telling him about this, and this is one of the last points here. Consistency and progression is not, it is not an innate kind of like trait
Set in
of humans.
stone.
Yeah, it's not set in stone thing. It's not like,
You know why? I think it's because we're adaptable, or we're acceptance to change.
yeah, that's exactly why. Because what we're supposed to like, that's the error, really. Human society is structured on the point of being consistent, or not being consistent, of being the same.
Yeah.
Like it grows and evolves essentially, but the concept's still the same. So like homes, the same. Carpet, walls, AC, like, you know what I'm saying?
Everything
Insulation, couches, beds, like the system's pretty much the same. And not that it has to be different, but humans are wired in the sense to be adaptable. We adapt to our environment. So if there's nothing else to adapt to, it's hard to be consistent, because because we're wired to be adaptable. Consistency is not a thing that's wired in us. It's a concept that was thought up of because we have this kind of society, because we have this kind of environment, the structure of life we have. Consistency is super important, but there is a part of us that does develop consistent actions, which is, I forgot what it's called, but it's in the middle of your brain. It develops habits. So habit development is the key, the end goal for having a consistent lifestyle, having a routine. So, setting up these routines will get you consistent results. Building these habits will get you consistent results, and they're things that are easy to track, right? It makes it so much easier in life to journal and to keep track of the progress you're making if you're actually putting in the effort to make consistent habits and making accomplishing stuff. You know how to get that feedback. You know how to improve yourself. You know how to be more confident. Because actually, as a matter of fact, you find yourself more confident in the daily action that you're taking.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for episode 10. Episode 10, we'll be talking
Coming
about
up
being in a
next.
self-crisis. Thank you so much for joining in the Royal Podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, share it with somebody. Follow us on our Instagrams, and we talk to you guys in the next episode.
See y'all soon.
See y'all.